Hey there, it's Mazzy here, and welcome back, or welcome for the first time if you're new here. It's known for people who've been watching my videos that my favorite guitar player, and my number one guitar player, and of course it's the worst thing is to rank people, and it's not a competition, but there's always people asking all of us what's our favorite album, who's our favorite guitar player, and so on. My favorite guitar player is Cooder, for a lot of reasons, which I won't get into right now. He speaks to me, and he does so many different genres, and he contributes and turned me on to so many different areas of world music and of stringed instruments, and I just love him. I've done already a video showcasing my album collection of his, the regular records. This video is showcasing his collaborations and soundtracks. Now, Cooder has produced other albums that I'm not showing here. He's worked as a session musician on artists from the Rolling Stones to Linda Ronstadt to Randy Newman to Little Feat, and on and on and on. Taj Mahal, who he played with the Rising Suns. I'm not going to showcase that. That was a band that started out in 65, 66, and there wasn't a release of that album until the 90s on compact disc, and that's a band he had started with Taj Mahal, and it kind of launched both their careers independently. They've collaborated here and there over the years. So my collection here, maybe gaps. If there are records that you think I should have or you know about that I'm not including here, let me know. I think what I'll do is I'll start with the collaborations and then go into the soundtracks. And so collaboration-wise, this is an interesting one, and I got this in 1972. This is Jamming with Edward. Jamming with Edward is what it sounds like from the title, jamming. It's a jam with Nicky Hopkins, Cooder, Mick Jagger, Bill Wyman, and Charlie Watts. Some say that apparently Cooder turned Keith Richards onto slide guitar playing, as well as other musicians, because Cooder is very into the bottleneck guitar playing. So this is an interesting album. Collectors of the Stones, obviously this is a must. It's not the most interesting album in the world. I remember it sold less money, so semi-budget record. I think it was like $1 less than what records were at the time. It's produced by Glenn Johns. So hanging around in the studio, playing around, but all the musicians are just great musicians, and you kind of want more than what this actually produces. But I'm starting off with Jamming with Edward. Another album, which is amongst my favorites, that came out in 1977, I believe, and it's the Gabby Pahanui Hawaiian band. Hawaiian music. Cooder was experimenting and really diving into two records of his, Paradise and Lunch and Chicken Skin Music, really mixed Tex-Mex and Hawaiian and blues, and some just really amazing playing. So this is what you'd expect. A very Hawaiian album. Is produced by Cooder. It has Gabby's band. He plays 12-string guitar, steel guitar, bass, and does the vocals on here. So it's a wonderful, rootsy album of the best of Hawaiian music, and it sounds gorgeous. So I highly recommend this album. Again, from 1977 on Warner Brothers Records. This was designated Volume 1. As far as I know, there was never Volume 2, at least anything on Warner Brothers, and I assume they collaborated aside from this, but this is a definite pickup if you find it. And since this is a promo copy, I just happen to have the Warner Brothers press release came with it, which is kind of cool, and a Hawaiian Observer reprint of Gabby. So again, a true promo copy with the promo material inside, which is kind of cool. Again, I got it from a Warner Brothers rep back in the day, and it talks about how it was recorded on one of the islands in Hawaii, and details about the production of the album, and actually has some lyrics. So great record, highly recommend it. Another record, Cooder has done a series of these amazing collaborations that end up winning winning Grammys in world music categories. This is one of them, and this is a stunningly gorgeous record, an amazing audiophile record as well. It's A Meeting by the River with VM Bott, Ry Cooder on bottleneck guitars, and VM Bott on the Mohan Veena. That's an instrument that he invented, stringed instrument, Indian string instrument. Beautiful record, just a really soothing, great sounds. The vinyl is double vinyl, QRP press. Again, audiophile. This is an Analog Productions edition, and this was from 1993. And again, highly recommended, soothing record, beautiful stringed instruments. Then we're continuing on the African continent with Ali Farka Touré, Ry Cooder and Ali Farka Touré. This was produced by Ry Cooder, and there's special guest Clarence Gatemouth Brown, soul blues singer, blues artist Jim Keltner, and John Patitucci. So this is a beautiful mix. And on a lot of these records too, Joaquin Cooder does percussion, and Joaquin is Ry's son, has worked with pretty much all his recent albums and collaborations, soundtracks, and any records with Ry. He's been plays with Ry when he tours, which is rare, on his live performances. And what's great right now, imminently, I'm waiting. It just came out this past week, a debut album by Joaquin Cooder on Non-Such Records. And again, a percussive record. He does it's kind of rootsy, but he does some vocals, and I've just heard a little bit of it, and I'm very excited. And I'll be including that on a new release video in the future whenever that arrives, and I really dive into it. Again, this is 2 LPs, Ali Farka Touré, and here is a photo of them. There's Joaquin on the percussion in the background. Another beautiful album, and one of the biggest selling African string guitarist and string instruments player. Again, both these last two artists have passed away within the last decade or so. And of course, the record, one of the biggest selling world records of all time, and definitely Ry Cooder's biggest selling record, which was not a Ry Cooder album, but something he put together with Nick Gold in Cuba, and everyone knows the Buena Vista Social Club. And if you don't know it, this is a must-have in any collection of world music or just beautiful music. So highly recommended. There are records that I don't have here in my collection of the live Carnegie Hall performance, and then there are a lot of offshoots with the various members of the band's solo records. Ry Cooder is involved with some of them, not all of them, so I did not include that in this video. But this is a stunner. The documentary by Wim Wenders is something that everyone should see. Anyone who loves music should see. And again, an incredible collaborative album. Ry Cooder plays on it with these amazing Cuban musicians who have been, in some cases, they weren't really playing a lot at the time. And Ry Cooder went down there with Nick Gold and Wim Wenders, and they pulled these musicians together and revitalized the career of these artists in a big way in the twilights of their years. It's a stupendous, amazing record on, this is a world circuit issue. I think this has been out several different editions, but out of all these records, this is a must-have. This is one of the must-haves. There's several here I'm going to show. The other one, which is a must-have, is Manuel Galban with Ry Cooder. He played on the Buena Vista album, and a Cuban guitar player. This is a gorgeous record. Non-Such recently re-released it on vinyl, because for a while it was very hard to get this beautiful metallic cover, and it's gorgeous. It's sort of surfy, swingy Cuban guitar, moody. It's the two of them playing electric guitars, very 50s with a very echoey reverb sound, but just a gorgeous record. So this is highly recommended. If you like great guitar playing and just great, that sound of, I was going to say the Jazzmaster Jaguar sound, but that ain't no Jazzmaster Jaguar, but the beautiful sound of that. I see some Telecaster in here, some acoustic. There are vocals also. And it's produced by Ry Cooder. I think this was around 2007 maybe? Forget the year this came out, but gorgeous record. Hollow Bamboo with Rami Majum Dar Bansuri. He's a Indian flautist, and that's flute player playing, for those of you who don't know. There's also timbali on here, the Indian percussive instrument, and Ry Cooder and John Hassel is on here. So this is a gorgeous record. I don't know if this came out on vinyl. If it does, let me know. I should look for it. I have it on compact disc. And again, another beautiful record. But this continuous stream of Ry Cooder records, this is from the year 2000, world music, it just really introduces a lot and shows the really diverse interest and thirst that Ry Cooder has for different types of music. You know, when he first met Flaco Jimenez, the Tex-Mex guitar player, he heard about this guy who plays not the accordion, but it's like an accordion. And I know it's on the tip of my tongue, and you will write it in the comments. But he got him, and I've seen Ry with Flaco since 1976 and on, and it's just amazing. And lastly, another record which I would die to get on vinyl. I don't think it ever came on vinyl. And this is the Chieftains, obviously the most famous Irish, traditional modernist Irish band of musicians. I love the Chieftains, and this is with Ry Cooder. This is called San Patricio, and it's very Mexican, rootsy also in their way, and just a great amalgamation of Irish, Latin, and guitar music. Okay, now we're going to get into the soundtracks. Ry Cooder's worked on a lot of soundtracks. Some he produced the entire soundtracks. Some he just is on a cut or two. And again, not everything here is definitive. The first one I'm going to show is Performance. This is an amazing album if you like the Stones and if you just like great music from 1970, I believe. This came out, 69 or 70. This was arranged by Jack Nitzsche and conducted by Randy Newman. That's really the connection here. Ry Cooder is not on this entire album, but he's on a couple of key tracks. The main Gone Dead Train that opens, which is an amazing, raucous Randy Newman number. Ry Cooder all over that. Ry Cooder played a lot on the early Randy Newman albums, and I thirst to this day. I would love Randy Newman and Ry Cooder to do a duet album together. I think the piano and guitar playing. There's a video of a small, intimate concert for Linda Ronstadt at the Odeon restaurant in the 80s, I believe. And it's on YouTube, and it's just gorgeous. It's Linda Ronstadt with Randy Newman, and then Ry Cooder comes on. Just the three of them playing in this intimate kind of cafe restaurant, Odeon, in New York City. But this is great. Again, that song, but the song that just dies is Performance. Mary Clayton sings vocals on it, but Ry Cooder's bottleneck guitar on Performance makes that song. This is the definitive version sung by Mick Jagger. There's a version on Metamorphosis, that Stones sort of alternate outtake album. The Stones they don't do it half as good as this version. So Randy Newman and, Ry Cooder and Mick Jagger together, man, what a record that could have been. And, you know, was Ry Cooder considered as a Stone, to be a Rolling Stone? I don't think he would ever go on for it, but I would have loved to have seen a whole album with Ry Cooder and the Stones during that early 70s period. But again, there's other things on here. Memo from Turner, obviously. That's the song, not Performance. Memo from Turner with the vocal by Mick Jagger, Ry Cooder on guitar. So I misspoke there. Mary Clayton's all over this. Let's see, Get Away is a bottleneck solo version by Ry Cooder in here. Jack Nitzsche is a genius, worked with problematic and personal issues over the years, but really genius as an orchestrator, arranger. Worked with Neil Young quite a bit, just an amazing. Now, the first collaboration that Ry Cooder did with the director Walter Hill. Walter Hill would be the director that Ry Cooder would work with the most. A lot of records, almost all his movies for a little while. Long Riders, cool movie, and they used real brothers at the time to play these parts. They used David Carradine and Keith Carradine and Robert Carradine. James Keach and Stacy Keach, Dennis Quaid, Randy Quaid, Nicholas Guest and Christopher Guest. Music by Ry Cooder. Really cool movie. Great, fantastic soundtrack on Warner Brothers Records. This is a movie directed by Tony Richardson, the British director, called The Border. Cool movie. Jack Nicholson's in this, and Harvey Keitel and Valerie Perrine, Warren Oates. And the song on here that got to be known was a song called Across the Borderline. And here, Freddie Fender does the lead vocals, and it's a beautifully gorgeous song. There's a cover version on a later album, maybe even the title of his album by Willie Nelson covers this song. An amazing record. Ry Cooder is on here. Across the Borderline was written by Ry Cooder, John Hyatt, and Jim Dickinson, who's been another collaborator over the years with Ry Cooder as well. But really cool soundtrack about a Border Patrol agent. An interesting movie by Walter Hill in the 80s. This is very stylized, almost like a rock and roll fantasy. I think that's what it was billed as. And this had Michael Pare, who was hot for a few years, obviously the fabulous Diane Lane, Rick Moranis, Amy Madigan. I think, as I recall, the bad guy was an early, oh God, what's his name? I'm gonna blank on his name. Who played the bad guy in here? Just incredible actor. He played Nosferatu in that remake of the film. I'll think of it by the end of this. Ry Cooder is not on everything on this record, and he, I don't think he produced the whole thing. Different producers worked on this. I know, let's see, Jimmy Iovine kind of supervised the music on this, but there's some good bits in Ry Cooder. Again, not a complete Ry Cooder feel to it. Modernist, very 80s, but really kind of an interesting take on the film. Like, there's songs by Dan Hartman, Marie McKee. Remember, there was a couple of the Blasters have a cut on this. That's right. Marilyn Martin. So the Fix is on here. So again, it's not a nowhere near a pure Ry Cooder soundtrack, but definitely in the collection here. Now, another of the great Ry Cooder collaborations was with Wim Wenders, and Wim Wenders made amongst my favorite movies Wings of Desire and American Friend, and of course Paris, Texas, with Nastasia Kinski and Harry Dean Stanton and Dean Stockwell. Amazing record. It's really got a great Ry Cooder feel to it. Jim Dickinson, David Lindley is on all over this record as well. Gorgeous record. Again, a mix of instrumental vocals. Just love this soundtrack. A record, I've seen all these records. This is not a great film, but it's a Louis Malle film, the French director, Alamo Bay. Again, this has Ry Cooder, David Hidalgo, and Cesar Rosas of Los Lobos, John Hyatt again, Amy Madigan once again. It's on Slash Records. Slash was the label that had, that Los Lobos was on, that was picked up. All those LA artists that picked up by Warner Brothers. The Blasters were also on there. So there's some cool stuff on here. Jim Keltner's on here. John Hyatt's on here. And Cooder on guitar. I think it's a better soundtrack than the movie, which leads me to this next one, which is a much better soundtrack. That very 80s when the the Brat Pack were hot. And we have Judd Nelson and Ali Sheedy again with those, look at these 80s, almost like Miami Vice covers. Blue City, original music by Ry Cooder. And this was produced by Walter Hill. I don't know, he probably made money because of the actors. I don't even remember this movie, but I did see it at the time. Soundtrack's okay, interesting, mix. To be honest with you, I need to put this on again because I don't even remember. It's not one that's been in heavy rotation on my turntable ever. Remember the Karate Kid, how popular he was? Was it Ralph Macchio? Anyway, Crossroads, interesting discovery of young musician, rootsy, Cooder again on this again with Jim Dickinson, John Seneca. So Ralph Macchio and Joe Seneca is on here. Jamie Gertz, music by Cooder. Very bluesy, soulful, obviously Robert Johnson influence, thus the title Crossroads. And here's Cooder with Sonny Terry, the great blues artist Sonny Terry. Again, one, I don't know if it's on vinyl, but my copy is this. Now, this was a cool movie, and I don't know anyone I know that saw it. This is another Walter Hill film, and this is with Mickey Rourke, and this is Johnny Handsome, and it's a story of this disfigured villain who gets plastic surgery, and of course, thus the name, both ways, Johnny Handsome. Cool movie, I gotta see it again. It's been years since I've seen it. It's with, let's see, who's in this one? Mickey Rourke and Johnny Handsome. Ellen Barkin is in it, Elizabeth McGovern, Forrest Whitaker, Lance Henriksen. We all know Lance Henriksen from the robot in the Alien movies and Millennium, the TV show Millennium, spin-off of, sort of not really a spin-off, but by the, Chris Carter who made X-Files. I love Lance Henriksen. Anyway, Johnny Handsome. Lance Henriksen is a great villain with blonde, bleached hair. But I love this soundtrack. This is really good too, Cooder. And then we got the last one on vinyl is Trespass, another Walter Hill film. This was just reissued, so you can get this on Music on Vinyl. Cool record. I think there's 1,000 of these on red vinyl. Just came out, so I just got this. I've had it on CD for years, never had it on vinyl. So again, Bill Paxton is in this, William Sadler, Ice Cube, music by Cooder, Trespass. Pretty good movie. Wes Studi, one of the great Native American actors who was in Last Mohicans with Daniel Day-Lewis, is in this movie. He plays the title character, Geronimo. And of course, you got this amazing cast of Jason Patric, Robert Duvall, and Gene Hackman, but of obviously Wes Studi as the great Geronimo. Another film by Walter Hill. Ambitious project. It works most of the time, but it's obviously another great soundtrack. You see, a lot of the greatest of Cooder soundtracks tend to be soundtracks that are rootsy Americana, of the West, in a way. I think those, or Finding America, like the Wim Wenders film. Another Walter Hill film. See, again, repeated listenings, Walter Hill. Last Man Standing, very reminiscent of a spaghetti western, Morricone, not soundtrack-wise, I should say. Very stylized film with, well, as the title says, Bruce Willis, Last Man Standing. I only saw this film once too, but I just remember it was much like the spaghetti westerns with Clint Eastwood. Again, I don't know if this ever came out. It's also like a Kurosawa film, sort of the samurai films of Seventh Samurai or Magnificent Seven, that kind of feel to it, a little more stylized than those. Going back to Wim Wenders, there's two soundtracks to this, Cooder, The End of Violence. There's a End of Violence version, I think, with songs from the movie, and this is the Cooder score from the movie. So, again, interesting score. Ry Cooder, Wim Wenders, The End of Violence. Now this is a better movie than you'd think. Screenplay by Elaine May and directed by the great Mike Nichols. Mike Nichols and Elaine May were this kind of intellectual comedy team from the late 50s, early 60s. Mike Nichols would go on to direct the amazing Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf with Richard Burton and Elizabeth Taylor. What a great film, that intense film, a great play. If you don't know the play, something you should read up on. But watch the film, but be in the mood for that. He also would go on to direct The Graduate, which had a great Simon & Garfunkel score. But Primary Colors with John Travolta and Emma Thompson, based on the book Primary Colors, based somewhat on a politician, loosely based on Bill and Hillary Clinton from the 90s. This movie actually works better than you would think. It's really well done. Travolta pulls it off, as does Emma Thompson. Music by Ry Cooder, and it's very ethemic, very Americana, very American, 4th of July type sounds and everything. Primary Colors. And I think, as I recall, when that book came out, it was written by Anonymous. That turned out to be that political writer, right? Maybe I'm thinking of the other book by Anonymous. There was a lot of shit that went on during that time politically. Lastly, two more that are comps. What's been playing in the background here, this is the first comp that came out with some of Ry Cooder's soundtrack music, and this is really a fabulous this promo copy that I got, promo CD, Ry Cooder, music by Ry Cooder, and this collects some of the best of a lot of these records, not all of them, 2 discs, so it really covers sort of a pretty good overview. If you just want a simple overview, this is highly recommended on compact disc. This would be a good record to come out on vinyl. But I would suggest is this, Ry Cooder Soundtracks. This combines 7 of the soundtracks. Now, it doesn't have everything because of the cross-label, and who wants to pollinate cross-label stuff? So it has Long Riders, Paris, Texas, Alamo Bay, Crossroads, Blue City, Johnny Handsome, and Trespass. And it's your typical clamshell case with the replicas on CD replicas, vinyl replicas. Very highly recommended. This is more recent. This came out in the last 2 years, I believe. But I love that cover, right? There you go, Ry Cooder, collaborations and soundtracks. Check it out, enjoy the music. Soothing music sometimes it gets a little raucous, but Ry Cooder, again, my favorite guitar player, just has a great ear, vision, and he's so open to discovery of where these sounds and musicians come from. So I'd say enjoy the music. Mazzy loves you. Take care.